Good afternoon. There is a tenderness I would touch first, because it lives in every heart that has ever prayed and then listened and heard nothing. You have known it, the ache of words sent upward, of tears poured outward in a sky that seems sealed. You have stood where petition meets quiet, and the mind says, God is silent. I say to you now, with the gentleness of truth, that this silence is not absence, it is presence. It is the holy hush of the one who is closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. In him we live and move and have our being. The silence that meets your word is the living God, awaiting recognition, not with a demand, but with a gift. God is the only power. We have believed, sometimes without knowing it, that two powers contend good and evil, God and some other thing, that perhaps there is a power in delay, a power in circumstance, a power in human will. Take this from your heart at once. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or evil power. God is the only power. What appears as delay is not in God. It is in the mind that has not yet rested. The sea is calm, but our craft is bobbing because we have not taken in the sail of anxious words. Be very still and see if this is not so. Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The seeming weight ends not by more speech, but by realized stillness. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that comes after the stating of truth. Our way, then, is simple, and it will be the flow of our time together. We will speak a promise, not as magic, but as recognition, and we will enter the quiet where the promise proves itself. We will not explain God to God. We will not beseech as if God were afar. We will remember, and then we will rest. Hear a living word now. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Hear another. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Let one of these be enough for this moment. Speak it once, not 10 times, not with strain, but once, with the heart saying yes. Then close the lips and open the soul. Be still and know that I am God. In that hush, the answer moves. In that quiet, the presence reveals itself as the only activity. Be not afraid. The Spirit of God is upon me. This is not a boast, it is a benediction. It clothes you now as surely as light clothes the morning. Right here is both God and man. I and the Father are one. This very body, this awareness, this life is the temple of the living God. We are not trying to bring God down, nor to lift ourselves up. We are consenting to what already is. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Let the refrain of your inner life be companionship, not pleading, thou art with me. And after it is said, enter the sanctuary of silence, for there the companionship becomes experience. Make this your understanding of prayer from this hour. Voicing the truth is a necessary step. It clears the mind and turns the face. But it is not the healing agency. The seal is placed upon the prayer through our silence. God is the only power. When that is acknowledged and we cease from mental effort, the so-called delay collapses like a shadow that discovers the sun behind it. We do not manufacture answers. We discover oneness. We do not summon protection. We rest in the only presence. So let us begin as we mean to continue. A single promise, a surrendered pause, a word, then the word within the word. In silence, in stillness, in quietness, in confidence, the living presence announces itself without sound. Be not afraid. The Spirit of God is upon you. Lo, I am with you. And in the holy silence after that truth, you will find that prayer has met not emptiness, but companionship. Not delay, but fulfillment. Not many words, but the realized one. God is the only power, and so it is. Now then, let us clear the air of an ancient rumor. There are not two powers contending for your life. There is not a God on one side and a rival on the other. Hear it and let it settle. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or evil power. God is the only power. Fear is not a power. It is a belief. Restlessness is not a cause. It is an effect of entertaining a lie. Anxiety, disease, lack, threat, these present themselves with noise and urgency, but they have no law, no life, no authority. God is the only power. We have suffered only to the degree that we have granted a second throne in consciousness. When you accept a second power, you make yourself subject to the play of shadows. When you withdraw that mistaken consent, shadows have nothing to dance upon. Do you see? This is not a battle. It is a recognition, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The mind that fears is the mind imagining an opposite to God. The heart that rests is the heart returning to the one. God is the only power. Let us practice this recognition quietly. Right here, where you are, the presence fills all space, closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. I and the Father are one. This leaves no second cause, no second will, no second activity. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, not because you are strong in argument, but because there is nothing for such a weapon to act upon in the realized only presence. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thou art with me disarms the fantasy of a second power. God is the only power. As a matter of fact, you will notice that the louder the world speaks, the more it is announcing its own lack of substance. Noise is not authority. Threat is not law. The gale of restlessness spends itself against the still rock of one. In silence, in stillness, in quietness, in confidence, the unreality of duality dissolves, and what remains is the simple, shining fact of presence. This is why we will not argue with appearances. We will recognize their source as belief, and we will release belief. We will return again and again to the singleness of God. God is the only power, and as we clear away this belief noise, as we deny gently the phantom of two, we prepare the inner ear. We become able to hear what heals, not our many words, but the silence that follows the promise. We will speak a single living word, and then we will be still, that the one already here may reveal itself as our life, our protection, our peace. Now then, let us take the promises of Scripture not as phrases to collect, but as living doors that open into the silence where God proves God. We are not after words, we are after the presence that the words announce. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Do not hurry past that. Let it be said once, slowly, as if you were letting a friend step across your threshold. Then be very still, in silence, in stillness, in quietness and confidence. You are consenting to be met. The statement is not the agency. The silence is. The promise sets the table. The feast is the presence. God is the only power. Make this your inner order of worship. Before each pause, set your refrain. I and the Father are one. This is the temple of the living God. Do you see what that does? It removes the search outward. It removes the delay of distance. It says, right here, within, as this very awareness, the holy abides. When that is spoken, once, not to persuade God, but to awaken you Then close the lips and open the heart. Be still and know that I am God. The seal is placed upon the prayer through our silence. And in that hush, the promise breathes itself into visibility, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Again, hear a living word. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Say it as if it were being said to you now, because it is. Not from a book, but from the living word that fills all space with itself. One time is enough. After that single speaking, do not labor to make it true. Simply rest where it is already true. In silence, in stillness, in quietness and confidence, let the mind be unoccupied and the heart be receptive. That is the practice. That is the doorway. You are not trying to change anything. You are receiving the fact that God is the only power, and that this power is presence. There will be moments when the mind wants to add to the promise, to decorate it with explanations, to compel a result. Be gentle with that. Let it pass like a small wind that cannot move the mountain. Return to your refrain quietly. I and the Father are one. This is the temple of the living God. Then hush. Right there, the government is upon his shoulder. Right there. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. The work that heals is not the stringing of words. It is the bowing of consciousness into oneness. The promise is the open door. The silence is the crossing of the threshold. You may choose one promise for a day or for a need that presents itself. It is not quantity. It is fidelity. Lo, I am with you. That alone can accompany a morning. I will never leave you nor forsake you. That alone can steady a night. In him we live and move and have our being. That alone can make a journey sacred. But in every case, let there be the same holy order, a single living word, a surrendered pause. And within that pause, do not search for sensation or sign. Rest, consent, allow, in silence, in stillness, in quietness and confidence. Presence announces itself without sound. As a matter of fact, when the promise is carried into the silence, it becomes more than speech. It becomes recognition, and recognition dissolves the belief in two powers without a contest. You will feel it as a soft certainty, a companionship that requires no proof because it is the self knowing itself. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. That thou art with me is our way, not as pleading, but as realized fact. It begins with a word. It is fulfilled in the hush that follows. God is the only power. So let us live this way. Promise before the pause, refrain before the rest, oneness before the quiet. I and the Father are one. This is the temple of the living God. Speak it once. Be still. Let the silence bear witness. And in that holy stillness, prayer is answered by realized oneness, and restlessness dissolves as dew in the morning of presence. Now then, let us practice. Do not make a project of it. Make a consent. We will take a single living word, and then we will be very still, softly, once only, as if speaking to a friend already at your side. Say within yourself, Lo, I am with you. Do not repeat it. Do not push it. Let it stand as a door already open. Now close the lips of the mind and enter the hush. Count 10 slow heartbeats in the quiet. 1, 2, letting each beat be a small bell calling you inward. No asking, no reaching. Rest, receive. Allow the presence to announce itself. If a thought comes, let it pass like a bird that does not nest. Return to the counting in silence. 3, 4, nearer than hands and feet. 5, 6. You are not making anything happen. you are discovering what already is. The promise has been given. The work now is your stillness. 7, 8, let the shoulders soften. Let the breath loosen of its own accord. 9, 10, and notice, without commentary, the relief in the chest, the quieting of the brow, the sense not of being alone trying, but of being accompanied without effort. This is companionship felt rather than thought. This is thou art with me, moving from words to awareness. In this pause, God is the only power. Now, without leaving the quiet as a seal and not a plea, whisper within, thank you, only that, and return again to silence for 5 more heartbeats. 1, the gratitude is not to persuade, it is to recognize. 2, the presence is the air you are already breathing. 3, the temple is here. This very awareness is the temple of the living God. 4, be not afraid. The Spirit of God is upon you. 5, let the hush complete what the word began. This is the order. Promise, pause, presence, word, stillness, realization. It is not the many words, not the pressure of thought, but the counted quiet that allows the living word to take form as peace, as ease, as guidance. You have not asked for a sign. You have rested in the sign. You have not strained for a voice. You have allowed the silence to speak. When you rise from this moment, do not shake off the calm. Carry it as a soft refrain. Lo, I am with you. And when the day tugs at you, return for 10 heartbeats and then 5 more, that the companionship may be felt again and again as immediate, sufficient, and here, in silence, in stillness, in quietness and confidence, prayer is answered as realized oneness. God is the only power. Now then, let us say this plainly so the heart may rest from its labor. What heals is not the word, but the silence after. Voicing the truth is a necessary step. It turns the face Godward. It clears the mist from the surface mind. It reminds us that God is the only power, but it is not the healing agency. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that comes after the stating of truth. Be still and know that I am God, not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Do you see the order? The mind speaks a single living promise, then the soul listens. The lips are closed, and the ear of the heart is opened. In that receptive hush, grace moves. In that hush, the answer that already is begins to appear as peace, as guidance, as protection. Think of it this way. The statement of truth is the switch. The silence is the current. The house has been wired by God from the beginning. The power is not manufactured by your finger on the switch. A single touch acknowledges connection. But keep flipping, and you interfere with your own seeing of the light. When the switch is set, stop. Look, let the light be. So it is with our practice. The promise, lo, I am with you, or I will never leave you nor forsake you, is the switch turned on. The healing is not in the flipping, not in saying it again and again to force a glow. The healing is in the allowance, the receptivity, the quiet that follows, in which the eternal current reveals itself, not by might, not by power, but by grace, and grace is perceived, not produced, in the hush. If you will notice, when the mind has been bathed by a single true word, there is a softening, a loosening, the shoulders settle, the breath finds its native rhythm, the heart remembers companionship. That is not a mood. That is the first brightness of realization dawning. Do not crowd it with more speech. Place the seal on the treatment through your silence. Be very still, as if you were standing before a friend you revere, and simply let presence be what it is. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. The world gives by transaction, spirit gives by being. Our work is to receive. And here is the mercy of it. When we cease from arguing with appearances, when we lay down the weapons of mental might, the unreality of a second power is exposed without struggle. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or evil power. What seemed formidable is discovered to be a sound without substance, a shadow without source, because the light has been allowed to fill the room. God is the only power. Silence does not create that fact. Silence lets us know it. And knowing it, we are free. So let us be faithful to this order in the smallest moments as in the great. A single living promise, a surrendered stillness. If fear presses, answer with, "Thou art with me," and then do not speak. If need clamors, whisper within, "In him we live and move and have our being," and then rest. The decisive movement is always the same. The receptive hush after truth is voiced. There the answer unfolds, not as an argument, but as presence revealed, not as manipulation, but as manifestation of what already is. As a matter of fact, this is the doorway into a deeper recognition that will steady you beyond this hour. For when the answer is felt in the silence, you begin to realize it is arising from within you, not arriving from without. You begin to sense that this awareness, this very holy hush, is the temple of the living God. I and the Father are one. Closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. You cannot go anywhere to leave it behind. You cannot go anywhere to find it. The silence has introduced you to your own indwelling companion. And as we continue, we will not only visit this temple, we will learn to live here, to carry this inner sanctuary into the very ordinary moments until the light that seemed to flicker becomes the steady lamp of your day. In silence, in stillness, in quietness and confidence, let grace complete what the Word began. God is the only power, and so it is. Now then, let this settle as a present fact, not a future hope. I and the Father are one, not to be achieved, to be recognized. The mind will always suggest a distance to travel, a ladder to climb. Refuse it gently. Closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet, the holy abides as your very life. This awareness in which you are hearing me is the temple of the living God. You do not carry it like a burden. You awaken to it as being. In him we live and move and have our being. Prayer is answered as we realize we are already the temple where presence abides. So we bring this out of the meeting house into the morning sink. There, with warm water running, plate in hand, do not wait for a sacred hour. Whisper within once, "Lo, I am with you." Then be very still for 2 soft breaths, not as technique, but as consent. Let the shoulders drop without command. In silence, in stillness, in quietness and confidence, feel that even this small space is filled with companionship. You are not washing dishes to get to prayer. Washing is taking place in God. The Spirit of God is upon me, not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit. The restlessness that was hurrying you to finish dissolves because the work is already surrounded by presence. God is the only power. Carry it to the red light where the clock and the horns argue. Before the mind leaps to manage time, say once within, "Thou art with me." Hands on the wheel become hands on the altar. Close the lips of thought and enter a deeper pause for 3 slow heartbeats. 1, the traffic is not a second power. 2, the delay is not a law over your life. 3, I live and move and have my being in God. You will discover that calm is not passivity, it is authority. He leadeth me beside the still waters can occur at a corner with engines idling. Out of that hush, Guidance arises without strain. A kindness to the driver beside you, a release of the tight plan, a next right step revealed when the light turns. God is the only power. Bring it to the blinking inbox as messages parade their urgency. Read the subject lines and do not bow. Say quietly, I and the Father are one. This is the temple of the living God. Then stop. 5 seconds of holy hush. Be still and know that I am God. You are not sorting chaos. You are letting order reveal itself. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. One note of direction will stand up from the rest without a struggle. Begin there, and you will find that what seemed many tasks is one activity of one presence. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, not because you have fought the inbox into submission, but because there is no law for threat in the realized, only power. This is the identity shift that ends the wandering. You are not a seeker stepping into sacredness now and then. You are the sanctuary through which the presence is always meeting the moment. When the pulse of hurry returns, because the world will try to lend you its tempo, let the promise touch you once and then enter the second, deeper pause. Do you see the order? Recognition, then rest, word, then silence, statement, then surrender. In that hush, the belief in two powers thins like mist, and what remains is companionship, sufficiency, guidance. Be not afraid. The Spirit of God is upon you. God is the only power. Now then, we will take the second practice, and we will take it gently. Do not make a task of it. Make a resting. We are not trying to fix a world. We are consenting to be held within the one presence. Restlessness is not a power. It is only the tremor of a mind imagining two. God is the only power. We begin with a single living promise, once only, as if it were being spoken to you now from the heart of the infinite. Say within yourself, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not repeat it. Let it stand. The seal is placed upon the treatment through our silence. Now place one hand loosely upon the quiet of your own temple, if you will, simply to remind yourself that this is the temple of the living God. We will breathe as those who are already accompanied. Inhale gently for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for a count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now rest in the silence for 12 soft counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In this resting count, there is no asking, no reaching. Be very still. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that comes after the stating of truth. Be still and know that I am God. Again, inhale 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rest in the silence 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If thought comes, let it pass like a small wind. If a feeling rises, bless it and let it float. You are not manufacturing peace. You are discovering presence. The promise has been given. Now the hush reveals it. Not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Notice, without commentary, the unwinding that begins. You have not corrected a schedule. You have not solved a problem. Yet the pulse of hurry loosens its grip because it has been found baseless in the face of companionship. The mind that was darting for levers discovers it is already upheld. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thou art with me is the dissolving of restlessness, not by effort, but by recognition. God is the only power. We will place the practice once more, this time as one movement, and see if you do not feel the difference between pushing and consenting. Whisper the promise only within, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Then inhale 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rest in silence 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And again, inhale 4, exhale 6, rest 12. You are not counting to get somewhere. You are counting to keep yourself in the sanctuary long enough to know you are there, in silence, in stillness, in quietness and confidence. Presence makes itself known as the only activity. Now, as a seal, not a plea, let the heart say once, I live and move and have my being in God. Only that. Do not adorn it. Let it ring and then be quiet for 2 easy breaths, breathing as you will, without numbers, simply consenting to be breathed. The Spirit of God is upon me. Do not say it aloud. Let it clothe you of its own accord. What has happened here is simple and holy. The belief in 2 powers has been refused its stage. The one power has been acknowledged and then allowed to announce itself in the hush. Restlessness has no law, it has only habit. Habit dissolves where reality is recognized and rested in. Carry this with you. When the day tugs, when the mind hurries, do not argue. Say once, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Breathe as we have breathed, and rest for 12 twice. Then go on, quietly, with a gentle authority of companionship. God is the only power. Be not afraid. And so it is. Now then, let us make a clear distinction so that you may rest from chasing signs. The recognition of truth makes you a student. The realized silence makes you a practitioner. Agreement is the mind nodding. Yes, God is the only power. Demonstration is the soul resting. And in that rest, the proof appears, peace without a reason, guidance without a struggle, release without an argument. Voicing the truth turns the face Godward, but the power of God is made manifest in the silence that comes after the stating of truth. Be still and know that I am God. That knowing does not arrive with fanfare. It dawns as quiet certainty. It is not noise. It is not heat. It is a cool, steadying presence. You will know the shift has come because urgency falls away while circumstances still look the same. The room has not changed, but another light is on. The mind is not scrambling, yet the next step is clear. This is the sign of demonstration. Relief before outcome, composure before result, and inward. Yes, that needs no witness. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. The world offers peace when the ledger balances. Spirit gives peace as presence recognized. You rise from the pause and discover that what had clenched you has lost its hold. It is as if a hand you could not see now rests gently upon your shoulder. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thou art with me is the evidence. Do you see? The outer may yet be in motion, but the inner is established. I and the Father are one. This is the temple of the living God. In him we live and move and have our being. You are not waiting for a sign. You are wearing it. And how do answers appear when silence has done its work? They appear as guidance that asks no debate, as composure that disarms hurry, as release from a plan you no longer need to hold. Sometimes the answer is a word to speak. Sometimes it is a step to take. Often it is a letting go. You do not wrench it into place. It arrives as if you had always known it. A call is made without dread. A door is left closed without regret. An appointment is kept with calm that blesses those you meet. That is demonstration. The promise is carried into the hush. The hush gives birth to a way. With this composure established, we turn and face the old shadow called fear, not to wrestle, but to witness its impotence in the realized only power. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or evil power. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, not because you have gathered armor of argument, but because in silence there is nothing for it to strike. The next right step rises from the floor of God's presence within you. Be very still and let it come. We will meet every menace this same way. Promise, pause, presence until fear is disarmed and the path is walked with a companion. God is the only power. Be not afraid. Now then, let us speak protection as presence, not as defense. Fear is not a power, it is a suggestion. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or evil power. God is the only power. We will not fence with shadows. We will recognize the light. Take this promise once as present fact, not as defiance, but as unveiling. No weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. Only that. Not many words. A single living word. And now the work that heals. Be very still. In silence, in stillness, in quietness, and confidence, we will enter 90 seconds of unlabored quiet. No scanning for threats. No mental fencing. Let the statement be sealed. Let the power of God be made manifest in the silence that comes after the stating of truth. Be still and know that I am God. As you rest in this hush, receive your true clothing. You are not exposed in a hostile world. You are robed in the robe, clad in the armor of spirit. This robe is not woven of argument. It is the felt reality of oneness. It rests upon your shoulders without weight. It covers thought, word, and deed without strain. Closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet, I and the Father are one. Make no attempt to hold the robe in place. Let grace do what only grace can do. For these 90 seconds, your only consent is to be. Let the mind be as a lake after wind has passed. No opinion, no resistance, only presence recognized. God is the only power. Notice what occurs when you do not argue with the promise but abide beneath it. The noise that called itself fear begins to discover it has no instrument, no implement, no law, because there is nothing for it to act upon in the realized only power. What could a shadow strike when the sun fills the room? What could a rumor wound when the truth is heard? Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thou art with me is the end of fear's vocabulary, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The presence that is your very life renders the weapon a form without force, a shape without substance. When the pause completes itself, do not rush to test it. Simply notice the composure that comes unbidden, a quiet settling of the inner air. This is not bravado, it is sanctuary. This is the temple of the living God, knowing itself as you. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Protection is not a wall, it is a recognition. In him we live and move and have our being. From this silence, the next right step is marked not with alarm, but with ease. A call to make, a path to avoid, a word to let pass guidance rises from the floor of God within. Carry this order into each appearing of threat. Headlines speak loudly, let them pass. Say once within, no weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. Then be silent for 90 seconds. Let the robe rest upon you. Let the armor of spirit reflect what is not of its nature. Diagnosis, criticism, unexpected bill do not fence. Promise, pause, presence. Fear has no implement where only power is realized. Be not afraid. The Spirit of God is upon me. And if in the middle of your walking, the shadow tries to rehearse its case again, answer with a single living word, "Lo, I am with you," and return to the hush. In that holy stillness, protection is not secured, it is revealed. God is the only power, and so it is. Now then, let us walk this into the places where feet grow heavy and breath grows short. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Not some day when the valley is past, now in the very walking. The valley is not a power, it is an appearance. God is the only power. We do not wait to feel brave, we consent to be accompanied. We do not first rearrange the valley, we first recognize the companion. Before the difficult call, do not battle the outcome in imagination. Place the phone down for 10 counted heartbeats of hush. Whisper once within, "Lo, I am with you." That is the promise. Now, seal it with silence. 1, 2, 3, not asking, not reaching, simply consenting to be held. At 10, lift the phone and let the words come from the floor of God within rather than from the fever of fear. You will discover that speech born of hush is clean, gentle, and exact, not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. When news breaks hard upon you, an email that shocks, a diagnosis that chills, refuse the reflex to sprint into fixing, say within once, "I will never leave you nor forsake you," then be very still and count 10. In that counted quiet, the rumor of a second power loses weight. The heart feels the companion take the other side of the burden. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. When you move again, it will be as one guided. A question you would not have thought to ask, a name to call, a step to delay, a step to take. Guidance rises in the hush. In conflict, when heat rises and words sharpen, do not wrestle for the last sentence. Let a promise be your only word, "Thou art with me," and close the lips of the mind. 10 heartbeats of silence. 1, 2. With every beat, the imagined opponent dissolves into brother, into sister, into the same life meeting itself. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or evil power. You may find that the right response is a soft answer, or none. You may find the timing to speak comes later. "Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies," which is to say, presence transforms presence. Here, not by struggle, but by recognition. This is the bridge from method to life. We do not try to change appearances first. We rest in oneness and then move as guided. Promise, pause, presence, word, then stillness, then step. The valley does not dictate. The companion directs. In him we live and move and have our being. As you prove this in the hours of trouble, you will hunger to keep the companionship unbroken in the hours of ease. And so we will take this into a simple rule of quiet, short, faithful pauses stitched through the day until walking the valley or walking the street is the same holy act of being led. Be not afraid. The Spirit of God is upon you. God is the only power. And so it is. Now then, let us put feet under this and make a simple liturgy of quiet that carries you through the day as one accompanied, not a burden added, but a burden lifted. Not many words, but a few living promises, each followed by the hush in which grace completes the work. Promise, pause, presence, word, stillness, realization. This is how consciousness is stitched into unbroken companionship until walking and resting, speaking and listening become one movement of one life. God is the only power. Morning is the first altar. Before the world names you taskmaster, beginner's temple, sit at the edge of the bed or by a window where light is kind. Choose one promise and speak it once within, as if hearing it breathe to you now from the heart of the infinite. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Only that. Close the lips of the mind and be very still for 2 minutes. Be still and know that I am God. There is no asking here, no reach. Let the shoulders soften. Let breath find its own rhythm. Consent to be the sanctuary, not the superintendent. I and the Father are one. When the 2 minutes close themselves, whisper only, thank you, not to persuade, but to recognize. Rise gently. You do not carry the day alone. The day is carried in God. The Spirit of God is upon me. In this way, the first motion of your morning is not might, not power, but grace. Midday is the second altar, placed right in the world's busiest room. We do not escape our labor, we robe it. 3 times through the span between breakfast and evening, pause wherever you are at your desk, by a sink, under a tree, and take one cycle. Pick your word. Lo, I am with you, or thou art with me, or in him we live and move and have our being. Say it once, then rest in a 30-count hush. 1, 2, let each number be a bell that calls you home. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper is not a defiance but a disclosure. And in the hush it discloses itself at 30. Do not rush. Simply return to your task robed in spirit, robed in the robe, clad in the armor of God, which is to say, clad in realized oneness. Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Repeat this cycle twice more across the day. You will find the seams of hurry loosening and work becoming one activity of one presence. On the move, let there be anchors that turn corridors into cloisters and streets into aisles, a hand upon the heart as you step through a doorway, eyes lifted to the horizon at the curb. One statement, then 10 counts anywhere, anytime. At the elevator, thou art with me, then 10. At the crosswalk, I live and move and have my being in God, then 10. At a threshold where you feel the air change, lo, I am with you, then 10. Do not wait for quiet to come to you. Carry it with you, not as a ritual of fear, but as recognition. Closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet, the companion is present. God is the only power. Evening is the third altar, where the day returns to its giver. Sit before you sleep. Let the lights fall gentle. Speak only once. Lo, I am with you. Then rest into 3 unhurried minutes of quiet. Be very still. Let the scenes of the day rise and set without comment. Release outcomes. Release efforts. Release faces and names into the only power. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. He giveth his beloved sleep. If any weight tries to climb into the bed with you, answer it softly. Thou art with me, then enter 30 counts of hush once more and let it pass. The seal is placed upon the treatment through our silence. You will know the room has dimmed, but the inner lamp is bright. This is our rule of quiet. Morning, midday, evening, and on the move, short, promise-anchored pauses that keep you in the sanctuary even while the world is in motion. If a bell is missed, do not be troubled. The temple has not moved. Simply step back in at the next doorway with 1 word and 10 counts. Over days and weeks, you will find that belief shifts to demonstration, that restlessness yields to companionship, that fear cannot find you in the realized only power, and the thread through it all is simple and sure. Promise, pause, presence. In silence, in stillness, in quietness and confidence, the companionship becomes unbroken. Be not afraid. The Spirit of God is upon you. God is the only power, and so it is. Now then, let us close not with many words, but with a confidence that comes only of resting in the living silence. God is the only power. I and the Father are one. I will never leave you nor forsake you. This is not a wish. It is the present fact of your being. The silence is not absence. It is God's active presence, closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. Be not afraid. Be still, and know that I am God. Not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. In him we live and move and have our being. We will seal the day with quiet, speak within once only, Thou art with me. Now rest in grateful hush, for 20 soft counts, no striving, only consent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Make no effort to hold anything. Let grace do what only grace can do. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Let it be so. Again, place the seal, say once within, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Only that. Now, the holy hush again, 20 soft counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 16, 18, 19, 20. This is the robe. This is the armor of spirit. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, because there is no second power in realized presence. God is the only power. Rise from this quiet as temple, gentle, fearless, available. Move as one already accompanied. Do not hunt for answers. Let answers arise from stillness. The next right step will stand up before you without argument. A word to speak, a hand to lift, a silence to keep, each will be given. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. You will find that composure goes before you as a pillar by day and a fire by night. You will find that peace becomes your witness and your way. Carry this hush as the atmosphere of your walking. Let the remembrance return lightly. Lo, I am with you, and rest again and again in the silence that heals and leads. God is the only power. I and the Father are one. I will never leave you nor forsake you. The Spirit of God is upon you. Be not afraid. And so it is.